you could say I play a fair number of rhythm games, including gacha games. If you've ever been to one of my streams, most likely I've been playing one of them since I play 3 of them depending on the day and my mood. You'll see Bang Dream, aka Bandori, D4DJ Groovy Mix, and also Project SEKAI, but considering I played the English version, it's more known by the other title, Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage. Likely owing to all of them being connected to Bushiroad, the Project SEKAI in particular is from Colorful Palette, which is a company associated with them or under their umbrella, while the other 2 are directly Bushiroad related, as well as involving other companies. They have a surprising amount of overlap in how their events work. While going over different event types is beyond the scope of this video, the general mechanics to maximize your points or stats in each are actually pretty much the same across all 3 games. Anyway, let's begin. First, we'll go over basic shared mechanics. While the gameplay can be different in various ways, such as either being focused on versus matches between players or possibly revolving around medleys of songs instead of a single one, or even taking the choice out of the player's hand and having the game decide what song you play. All of them typically have 2 things that you need to keep in mind regarding the character cards you're using in that given event. First, what could be considered the quote-unquote element of the card. Although it's not called as such, it functions pretty similarly. These go by different names in each game, but they function the same way. In Bang Dream and in Project SEKAI, they are called types, while in D4DJ they're styles. In Bang Dream, we have powerful, cool, pure, and happy. In Project SEKAI, there's cute, pure, cool, happy, and mysterious. While D4DJ has cute, elegant, cool, party, and street. These types, meanwhile, have nothing to do with the actual character, as a given character can have a card in any given type depending on which specific character card you're looking at. However, which character you're using also matters for events, because each character is important for event bonuses and the like, the same way types are. Typically, the group a character belongs to is not important. However, you'll often see events where all of the event bonus targets are from the same group because of the storyline having something to do with them. However, there is one exception to the group not mattering rule, and that's something related to Project SEKAI specifically. Because that one in particular is a Vocaloid-based game. It has the original 6 Vocaloids as characters: Mako, Kaito, Miku, Rin, Glenn, and Luca. Unlike other characters who only ever belong to one group, however, these 6, referred to in-game as the virtual singers, can belong to any of the groups depending on the specific card. This is most easily shown with Miku in particular, as her form changes drastically depending on which group's Miku she is. This is Miku. This is also Miku. Knock knock, it's Miku. Guess who? Miku. And I think you get it by now. In this case, it's not just which character that matters, but if they're the right version of that character. For example, say we have an event featuring the girls of More Jump and More Jump's Miku as the 5th, because events typically have 5 boosted characters. If you have a Miku tagged with the More Jump group label, such as her initial 4-star or the 2-star you get for completing their first story chapter, she would count for the event bonus. However, if you used a different Miku, such as, say, this 3-star that's tagged with the night chord at 25 o'clock, that Miku would not count, despite being Miku, because she's the wrong Miku, and is treated entirely separately. With all that said, ideally you want to match both character and type, or style in the case of D4DJ, because type and character bonuses stack. They also often give you an additional bonus if you manage to match both at the same time. However, given that these are gacha games, that's usually easier said than done. It's also important to keep the overall power of the cards you have in mind too, which is a good segue into Section 3. 3 stars versus 4 stars, and why 1 star and 2 stars are just there to look pretty. Let's open with what may be a bombshell for some people. 4 stars are not always better than 3 stars. Of course, optimally, you'd be able to have all the 4 stars with the right types and get all the event bonuses forever, but let's face it. Unless you've got the devil's own luck, a whole lot of time invested, or some kind of giga whale taking out a second mortgage to fund your gacha addictions, you're probably not going to have a full set of on-type 4 stars too often, if you ever do. This is where you'll need to look at your 3 stars as well. A good priority order will vary based on which game you're playing, but it's mostly the same for each of them. Obviously, your first strings will be 4 stars who happen to also be the right character and type. However, if you can't do that, the next step is not necessarily to go with the 4 stars that match one or the other, if you have 3 stars that match both. If you don't have those, then you would look for 4 stars that match one or the other, then 3 stars that match one or the other, and finally, whatever other 4 star or 3 stars you have that don't match either of them as a last resort. Don't feel bad about this, it happens, because gacha does not care about you, it exists purely for suffering. Anyone who's played any of these games for some length of time probably already realizes this. Now, for Project SEKAI and D4DJ, that's basically the end of it. However, Bandori is slightly more complicated because type and character bonuses are not equal. Typically, characters give a 20% bonus to either event point gain or stat lines, depending on which kind of event, while matching the correct type gives you a 10% bonus, and you get an extra 20% added on if you match both for a total of 50%. That means if you don't have the holy grail characters that are 4 stars and on type, or even 3 stars that match both of them, prioritize the character before looking for characters that match the same type as the event. For example, if we look at a hypothetical Bang Dream event that's featuring cool type Roselia cards, say you don't have any cool type 3 or 4 star Rinko cards. Sadness, I know. In this case, you'd want to look for other 3 or 4 star Rinko cards you might own before digging into cool type cards of other characters. Now, you might have noticed the fact that I didn't mention 1 or 2 star cards here, or, alternatively, you were paying attention to the title of this section, in which case, go you! This is because they will be your absolute last resort's bottom of the barrel fillers. Their stat lines are so low that even a 3 star that doesn't match either type or character will likely outperform a 1 star that matches both. This gets a little bit muddier with 2 stars, but even if they end up being better than the 3 stars, the difference is likely to be negligible at best. Part of the reason for the huge gap in stats between the 1 and 2 stars and their higher rarity counterparts is the fact that they don't have any sort of advancement. You level them up to the cap once, and that's it. They're as good as they're going to get. Meanwhile, 3 and 4 stars have special power-up options that greatly increase their overall stats once you max them out. Things like limit breaks, or training, depending on which game you're playing, or in D4DJ there's things like extra training, if you've gotten extra copies of a given card. But 1 and 2 stars do not have these options. Anyway, now that we've taken care of questions about rarity, let's say that you have more than one choice that fits in a given category. What do you do now? Now, to find out which card you'd want to use, you'd want to look at Section 4, Skills. Each card has a special skill that can activate during a song at various points, be it hitting a specific kind of note or just at a specified time. In any case, depending on what you're trying to do, the skills you want to use change. If we're talking about ideal scenarios, then you'll want to use cards with skills that only increase score, as these skills will have higher score increasers than any skills that have other effects, such as changing lower grade notes to perfects, or restoring your stamina, or what have you. If you're ever talking to people in the community about them, these cards are usually referred to as scorers because, well, they help the most with your score. Makes sense. Of course, if you're newer to a game, simply not as good, or trying to play something harder than what you usually do, you might need other skill types, such as a stamina restore or some sort of shield or anything like that. An important thing to remember is passing a song is always better for score than not passing, because once you fail, even in multiplayer where you get to keep playing instead of having your song cut off, your score you earn from that point on drops dramatically. If you're having any trouble, don't feel bad if you need a character who heals or gives some kind of barrier or something. Also, a very important note, your leader card is extremely important. It's the only one of your cards that will activate in most multiplayer modes, and even if the event type uses your entire team, such as versus lives in Bandori, usually there is some sort of extra activation or similar for the leader of your group. For example, in the aforementioned, your leader card will activate twice, while your other cards will only activate once. With this in mind, you'll want to put your best card in the leader slot, or whichever card you need to have activate during a song based on the other points above. If you're just looking for mostly casual play that's relatively optimized, you can probably stop here. However, if you're looking to really up your game and truly make the most of events, you're going to eventually have to face Section 5, meta songs. In every one of these games, you'll see a number of recurring names pop up. This list will not be exhaustive, but, for example, in Bandori, you'll see things like Savior of Song, or a song that's rather infamous for how much it's been used as the optimal event song, Unite from A to Z. In D4DJ, you'll see songs like Cat's Eye or Here's the Light. In Project SEKAI, it can vary, but you'll probably hear mentions of songs like Melt or Hit the Rainbow Envy. Despite being from different games, all of these are being picked for the same reasons. They're the quote-unquote meta songs, aka the songs with the best event point yield for either time or boost energy spent. Depending on just how serious you're going to be about grinding these events, you may be seeing these songs a lot. And I do mean a lot. With this in mind, it may be a good idea to look in various Discords or other places for people also trying to tier, as it's referred to. Setting up multiplayer rooms where you can guarantee or tilt the odds in favor of a specific song you want will help you make the most of your time playing if you're looking to really push yourself to the higher rankings. And now for the outro. Hopefully these bits of info can help you a little bit. Trying to figure out how to get good results in events can be pretty intimidating, but with a little bit of time and experience, they're not so hard to figure out. There are, of course, more nuances that might come up in super high-end playing and the like, but these tips should at least be a good start for a beginning event player. That'll be all from me, so good luck and happy eventing. Psst. If you play these games, consider dropping by my Twitch streams. I play other stuff from time to time as well. I hope to see you there. I also have a Discord and even a YouTube channel. Wait a minute, I think you know that one already. Anyway, peace.